Hi, I'm Leonard Erickson. This is my video blog, video cam, whatever you want to call it. My friend Cesar Marquez got me to do one of these. I already did one on LeBron leaving early, but this one, my second one that I'm going to be doing, is one that means a lot more to me than anything else, and that is basically it's just about Iverson. Allen Iverson, number 3, actually number 1 for the Pistons now, and it's basically going to be his defense whenever everyone else seems to have jumped off the bandwagon. I love Iverson. He's my favorite basketball player right now, possibly ever, with the exception of Michael Jordan. So I'm going to start off practically reading what I've already wrote about him in my previous attempt, previous blog attempt, paper written on Word. Took too long. I never got through with it, but basically this is going to be long, so you better be ready to actually listen and actually understand why Iverson is Iverson. So here we go. It's going to be simple. Right. I haven't come up with a title for this work, but let it be whatever it is. In my unworthy attempt to decipher the new Allen Iverson dilemma, I call on Scoop Jackson's intro to Things Done Change, one of the best articles ever written for Slam, possibly ever, according to me. But this is what he wrote. The Eastern Conference Championship is still fresh. The MVP trophies still gleam. You might look at number 3 differently now. You might think he flopped, but make no mistake. Allen Iverson is still the same person he's always been. I don't know what the world's gonna do, but I know one thing, that this is a life for me. To gently strum the beginning to my own. Lucky for me, I once imprinted Jackson's Things Done Change article when I was a youth, a naive junior on the threshold of his high school junior year, some 6 odd years ago, give or take, October 11th, 2002 to be exact. Because this article is now nowhere to be found online, proving the new adage that Allen Iverson may have very well fallen off the face of the earth, or at least its basketball counterpart. Regardless, that article intensified my deep appreciation for that small player with a grand heart, then and now. Every time I read it, I'm moved almost to tears because it exemplifies the true essence of Allen Iverson, and I now feel indebted to Iverson and Mr. Jackson to write my own 2 cents, long as they may be. Sound familiar? Probably not, but once upon a time, that was where Allen Iverson stood amongst the media, amongst the basketball world, stranded alone at the top. Now that same stanza might read as follows: the Eastern Conference Championship is long forgotten. The MVP trophies collecting dust, a remembrance of a long time ago. The number has changed to number 1, but still, you might look at him differently now. You might think he's done, but make no mistake, Allen Iverson is still the same person he's always been. The lyrics skip a beat and now sound a little less Trick Daddy and more Dre, by way of the gangster with the M&Ms. Eminem. Nowadays, everybody wanna talk like they got something to say, but nothing comes out when they move their lips. Just a bunch of gibberish, and mother, act like they forgot about Dre. And no, I ain't talking about the Andre Iggy holding court in Philly nowadays, but the other AI, the AI. Your doubts? Here is my answer. A dust-down fairy tale beginning, just another white trash county kiss in 61. Change came in disguise of revelation, set his soul on fire. She said she always knew he'd come around, and the decade disappears like sinking ships. But we persevere. God gives us hope, but we still fear what we don't know. In my humble attempt to mimic Jackson's masterpiece, I too will use a musical inclination based on the killer's music to tell this tale of Allen Iverson. At the back end of Jordan's three-peat and lost in basketball's limbo between a lockout season and no favorite player, what were the boys to do? Long before O.J. Mayo and the audacity to reject Arizona, ex-Don Haskins pupil and USC head coach Tim Floyd was leading the Bulls to a dismal 13-37 record. It all seemed to unravel before my very eyes, but I did what I knew best. I tuned in. Got lost in my love, and basketball's Cupid arrow found me again and drew me in. I staggered to a friend's house with remote in hand and channel flipping full throttle. We stumbled across an NBA playoff game. Stop! I actively implored my friend, and unbeknownst to me, a love's fury was about to be set on fire. May 23rd, 1999. My mother's birthday, ironically. Eastern Conference Semis, Game 4, Indiana Pacers versus Philadelphia 76ers. I stared in awe as that number 3 slowly went about his work, scoring, dropping them, hustle, his MO, diving, fighting, driving, and exhausting his black fibers in the futile attempt. After all was said and done, the Pacers brought out the brooms, and the Sixers were swept into the dustbin. But Allen Iverson had poured and left his heart on that floor that night. And with that simple, rhythmic style of play, everything all out, balls out, play as if it's your last game, leave your heart, blood, tears, and sweat on the floor, attitude, I had found my player. A precise mark by basketball's Cupid, I could only quip, good eye, sniper. The player that found me was a salvation for a boy from Chicago by way of the not-so-mean streets of El Paso, which have been manned by the likes of Don Haskins, Nolan Richardson, Tim Hardaway, Stephon Jackson, and Nate the Skate Archibald. Because of that attitude, that simple reason Iverson employs game in and game out, that boy now lost in South Dakota still rides and currently dies with Allen Iverson. I always have, always will. Even though unholy, impious, and will never be a basketball mecca grounds of El Paso have a connection with Iverson. Iverson has Haskins' get after it attitude and Richardson's uncompromising and unbending resolve to make a stand. Just ask Arkansas and the Pistons. A precursor to Iverson's crossover, all that needs to be said is Tim Hardaway's UTEP two-step. Jackson, by way of Philadelphia, said about scorching UTEP and Conference USA scoring records, and like the skate, the answer was a point guard with a scoring punch to him. Somehow it was meant for me to fall for his style, and as a player and coach emulate his hustle and mode attitude. Long ago I once wrote, "Now, time to explain Allen Iverson. No, he ain't the ideal idol with the tats, rolls, and thug life, but I love him. He's a great player, and who he is, he has stayed true to it and himself." That was how I reasoned it back then. Now I have the ability to propound a better explanation. As a young, white, middle-class American growing up in El Paso, I was never able to understand his upbringing, or the black culture, nor the ghetto, for that matter. But I have been able to grow an appreciation for the ghetto's ability to manifest itself onto its warriors. Everyone that has survived carried that hollowed toughness. In turn, Iverson was able to manifest that attitude onto the court. He has seemed to carry with him a never give up and only the strong survive persona that transcended any differences, color, creed, race, status, and what have you, between us, and I was able to find a common ground. I never fell for his tattoos or cornrows, but the player he was on the court. I won't lie and say I didn't copy the do-rag, the headband, and his kicks, because I did. I was a kid. That was merely useful experimentation, which stayed constant throughout the years for me with how he played on the court. Killer song. I took the shuttle on the shockwave ride where the people on the pen pull the trigger for accolade. You go run and tell your friends I'm losing touch, fill their heads with rumors of impending doom. It must be true. I wonder what you've got conspired. I'm sure it dawns a consolation prize. Now I find myself in America's and its darling media's crossroad with Iverson, and feel that everyone has seemed to turn their backs on the one man who, for some, made them. I feel it is my duty simply as a loyal fan of his to come to his defense, when everyone who praised him then now kicks him when he is down. And so I turn to you people on the pen, writers, media, ESPN, Sports Illustrated, Yahoo, anyone who's out there blogging, writing about Iverson and attacking him. Yeah, you are the people who pull the trigger for the accolade. Yes, you, the media, and every writer that has now jumped at the opportunity to bash Iverson, kick him when he's down, and blame it solely on him, the Pistons' downfall. Now, when it seems like he is responsible for every downfall of every team he's played for, it's the reason I'll never become a journalist, because it really is lies and money.